Hi everyone, welcome to Brave Souls. Tonight's episode we have Jim Serrano joining me. He is an adoptee and I cannot wait for him to come on and share his story with all of you. So Jim, once you join in, we will get started shortly. Hi Zeke. Hello, welcome. Hey Raya, welcome. I love you Zeke. Thanks for joining. We are just waiting for Jim to join. Here he is. Okay, he's requested. We're gonna go live now. Hi.
Hi, how you doing?
Welcome.
Thank you.
Hey Bethany. Hey Chris. Hi Howard. Then I'm gonna wait for give it some time, wait for people
No
to come
problem.
on and we'll get started.
Sure.
Okay. How was your day, Jim?
Good.
Good.
I work part-time, so I usually work at 5 in the morning. I get off by noon every day, so
Wow.
easy day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
So, and you? How was yours?
It was good. I work from home
Oh, okay.
and I just relaxed the rest of the day. I did some shoveling. We
Yeah,
got
okay.
hit with more snow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I won't show you outside.
No, don't.
No, I won't.
I'm so jealous of
It's
California sometimes.
beautiful. It's beautiful outside right now.
I'm sure.
I almost was gonna go outside and just do it from outside, but I didn't want to mess up the Wi-Fi and all that, so that's why I'm doing it
That's
inside
okay.
here. So.
All right. Hi, Katya. Welcome. Hi, Samo. Z. Hello. Oh, she's from Poland. Okay.
Wow.
Nice. Just gonna give it another few seconds.
No problem. Now I have a friend in Poland. I could go visit when I go to Poland. Why
There
not,
you
right?
go. We have another Katya. Welcome. Hi, Anna. Welcome. So I'm curious, what is the temperature in California?
Right now, probably about 65, 67.
What did I ask?
And it's, let's see, 5:30 right now. So, yeah, it's beautiful outside.
Aww.
We always have that sunset. So every night we look at it and
Oh,
go,
I love
oh,
your sunset.
wow.
I have
Just
friends who
amazing.
live in California and I see all
Okay.
their stories and their
Yeah.
pictures with the sunsets. I'm like, it's so beautiful.
Yeah. Where do they live in California? What city?
I think LA, Redondo Beach.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
jeez. That's nice over there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's usually at my hello. Hi Anastasia. Hi Mama Cheeks. Welcome. I am Agata.
Hey, Stephanie. How you
It's
doing?
easier than my Instagram name.
Yeah.
Okay, Jim, I guess we'll get started and
Okay.
people will come on as we go. So for
Sure.
anybody who joins in late, who's not able to join on, I always save the lives so they can go back to my page anytime and watch it. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I thought you
Okay.
froze for a second. Hi, Megan. What time is it in your country? I have 2:30 a.m. It's 8:30 p.m. here in Philadelphia. Okay, Jim. Well, welcome. Thank you
Okay.
so much for joining me tonight. You are
Thank
the
you.
third male adoptee I've had on, so you have
Yeah.
the charm. So why don't we start by just talking about your adoption journey from the
Okay.
beginning, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Well, let's see. Let's see. I was born January 22nd, 1962. I was born in San Jose, California.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was at a hospital that's not there no more. They tore it down a long time ago. So I was born there, and then probably 2 weeks. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks because I was just looking. It's funny. I, I was looking at my paperwork that my birth mother had saved,
Mm-hmm.
and she saved this little piece of pink paper. And what it is tells you the doctor that delivered me,
Okay.
and that I was in the hospital for 2 weeks after my birth. So I guess I had some complications and stuff like that. So,
Okay.
and then the county came and got me, and it was ended up in I guess somewhere wherever the county keeps babies that are given up for adoption. I
Mm-hmm.
have no clue where I was at. So, um, my parents, Joe and Loopy, um, adopted me at. I always get it mixed up. Either it was 6 months or 6 weeks because I still can't even get a right answer. So, but I would stick with 6 months. And so they adopted me. Actually adopted an older sister too. She adopted two of us,
Okay.
and she's a year older than me. And so they adopted both of us. Um, and then I finally figured out one day. I always wanted to know, why did they adopt? Why did they adopt? Right?
The typical question, yeah.
Yeah. Why? Yeah. So, well, my adopted mother, Lupe, she had a little boy named Georgie, and
Okay.
she lost him.
Mm.
So my sister told me the reason they probably adopted us because she was having a hard time, almost like a mental breakdown through losing her child. So that's the answer I got from my older sister, their daughter, because they had um, two daughters and a son already when they adopted us.
Biological, okay.
Biological, yeah, when they adopted us. So she told me that's probably the reason they probably adopted us to, I say, maybe fill that hole
Mm.
of losing Georgie. And so, because I always wondered and finally got an answer, right?
Right.
So, and this is like, I got this answer, sheesh, 4 or 5 months ago. And
Wow.
after being, I mean, I just turned 59 and I'm still getting answers
That's
through
a
all my
long
search.
time to not have answers.
Yeah, man. And another question I asked my older sister, because that's the only one I knew how to ask, because people always ask me, so when did you know when you were adopted? When did you find out?
Mm.
Well, first of all, I never remember when I knew I was adopted, but all I remember growing up was them always teasing me that they got me at a supermarket. So I lived with that all my life till um, I asked my sister about 3, 4 months ago, 6 months ago, and I go, so why didn't anybody sit down with me to tell me I was adopted?
Right.
And she told me, goes, we don't know. They sat down with my sister that was adopted with
Mm-hmm.
me. They sat down with her to tell her. My sisters did. I don't think my mom and dad did. And I always asked them, well, why didn't no one sit down with me? Because we can't answer that, Jim. We don't know.
Mm.
So all my life, I always wondered why they adopted me, why no one told me I was adopted. But one thing my sister always used to tell me, she told me that day when I had that conversation with her, she
Mm-hmm.
goes, all I know is when it was about 11, 12 years old, you changed. You got more rebellious. You got more kind of like angry.
Mm.
You had a lot of anger issues.
And
I
did
go,
you?
wow. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So, well, there was a reason why I had a lot of anger issues too. And like you said, I was when you told me, time to tell my story. Well, I'm a type of person that's not going to hold back. I'll tell the whole story.
Good. Tell
So
it.
when I was being raised as a young child, I mean, the old Chicano way is no hugging, no telling you I love you, none of that ever in my whole life. Okay. Um, but my dad was a very prideful man, and perfectionist. He wanted me to be perfect too. Uh, in his eyes, I couldn't really do anything right. That's how I grew up. And when I do tell my story, I tell it because I don't kind of like say, oh, my childhood was, oh, it was great. The good old saying, oh, you should be grateful you were adopted.
Mm,
The good old, line that most adoptees get thrown
of
at them.
course.
But so I think the anger issues was because I was never told and never showed any love. Never.
You
Uh,
weren't nurtured.
no, I never got a pat on my back. I mean, I played Pop Warner football. I played football. I had got special awards and all that. My dad never even patted me on the back. Good job. Nothing. None of that stuff. And but there was another issue that was happening that I didn't admit till about 7 years ago, and I admitted that to my wife and daughter. Me and Tina will be married 37 years this July, and my daughter's gonna
Congratulations.
thank you, and my daughter's 35. She'll be 35 in June. But there's one thing that I admitted to them 7 years ago, and I'll take that to my grave because I remember telling them in a car. We went out for an ice cream. We went somewhere, and something came up about kids and sexual abuse. So that day in the car, that night, it was at nighttime. I always remember telling them, well, between the ages of 9 to 11, I was being molested by a male cousin. He's a lot older than me, and I kept that a secret for a lot of years. I didn't, like I said, I didn't tell anybody till I told Tina and Elizabeth, and that was when I was 52 years old.
Wow.
So I have
Long
that.
time to carry that around.
Yeah, that's why I think I had so much anger.
Yeah.
I used to, um, I'm being honest. I used to, all through my years, I used to have a lot of hate towards the gay community, homosexuality, and all that stuff because what happened to me.
And that's understandable, yeah.
Yeah, but then I'll keep on going with the story. But so I was never able to tell anybody about it. So I never told anybody about it. Uh, do things remind me of it? Oh yeah. Do I still smell things? Oh yeah. Does it still in my head? Oh yeah.
Of
It's
course.
still it'll be there till Lord takes me home, whenever that's going to be. But um, so I admitted that. So that's a lot of things, issues in my life too, that I wasn't able to share with anybody. And even when I did share on another podcast radio interview that I did, the hard part about the whole thing is it. I still think of it today is nobody even asked me who it was,
Really?
or how do you feel now, Jim, or we're sorry that happened to you. No one ever said anything to me, and the only one ever.
It's okay. If you want to talk about something else, we can go.
So the only one that ever said anything to me was Tina, and but she never asked because I'll never tell anybody. That I always say that's between me, him, and God. And the weird part about it is sucky part about it was, growing up as a teenager, I had ways of how I was gonna kill him. I had ways how I was gonna kill him and then kill myself. I mean, why do you want to have that in your mind all your life, especially your teenage years? You know, and Sure. I mean, it's sick thing to have in your mind that you actually would want to kill a person, a human being, and then kill yourself. And so I had a lot of those issues, and I mean that's where I think all my anger came from.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I used to drink a lot. I used to drink a lot. Um, heck, I was funny. I was mentioning to Tina that a good friend of mine just turned 60 years old, and I go, "Wow, he just turned 60, and he's the one I had my first beer with." And guess how old I was? I was in sixth grade when I started drinking. Sixth grade. That's how old I was when I started drinking. And I drank through junior high. I drank through high school and all my life because I had issues, right? So people used to say, "Oh, and the alcoholism and all that is a disease and all that." Well, sure, some people have their opinion on that too, but sometimes I believe that disease is escaping from reality because that's why I did it, to escape from reality and escape from the trauma I had growing up as an adoptee and being molested and through all those issues and never getting any, pat on the back or nothing like that.
You carried a
So
lot of
that,
trauma around, Jim.
yeah. So all
Too
that,
much.
all that went through my childhood and teenage years, and then finally I decided, you know what? Um, you feel like no, you're not ever gonna. You always want to be a people pleaser,
Mm-hmm.
and that's one thing Tina and Elizabeth always just said. "Dad, you have a lot of friends." Because as an adoptee, and it's a lot of adoptees, we just want to please everybody, right?
Yeah.
So because you
We
don't want
want to
that,
feel wanted
yeah, you don't
and
want that
accepted.
abandonment issue to happen all over again, right?
Of course. We don't want anyone to leave us, and
Exactly, exactly.
I
So,
totally understand.
so with all through high school, I had the issues of all that, kept it all inside and stuff like that, and um, then I met Tina on a blind date.
Oh.
We graduated in the same class in 1980, and then we met 2 years after high school on a blind date.
Mm-hmm.
So we started going out with each other. We went out with each other for about 2 years till we decided to get married. But the that first year, that's when I fell in love with her, and of course I was the first one to tell her I loved her.
Yeah.
But I was scared to tell her I loved her, and I guess the first time people always there was a question that came out of one of the adoptee support groups. When was the first time you felt love? And I always tell people the first time I felt love was probably the day I took Tina out to dinner. We were at a Chinese restaurant, and I said, "Okay, this is the time, Jim. Tell her you're adopted, you're right? Because you're thinking, oh, she's gonna think, oh, something's wrong with this guy. That's what I was thinking. She's gonna leave me now. So I took everything in my gut to tell her, okay, babe, I had something to tell you. I'm adopted. She looks at me and goes, okay, so, but she doesn't understand, because I always tell people, yeah, I've had a long journey of an adoptee, but I could always say that Tina's been with me for those almost 37 years of that journey because she's seen all my ups and downs and my breakdowns and my anger and my emotional breakdown, and she's all been there. So I always say, well, she's part of my story, and it always will be. So, excuse me.
Totally. Yeah.
So, so after she said, well, took her another year or 6 months to say she loved me, but
It takes longer for us girls.
no. And so we got married, and in '84, yeah, in '84. Then we had Elizabeth, and then Elizabeth was getting older, and all of a sudden, in the back of my mind, I said, "Wow, I wonder, if someone out there was really looking for me. I wonder who." You pass people in the streets. Oh, hey, one of that guy's my brother. Or
Yeah.
what if that's my birth mom and all that stuff. So one day we were
I
watching
used to
TV.
think that too, but then I realized my birth mother lives in Romania, so there's no way she'd be walking the streets of
Yeah,
Philadelphia.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But don't give up hope. Don't give up hope.
That's true.
Don't give up hope. So, Polly around I was 37. We were watching a TV program, and it was talking about. It was a talk show. I think maybe it was an Oprah, and they were talking about non-identity information for adoptees. You could go get information, but you can't tell you exactly who your birth parents were. But information about them.
Right.
So I watched that and I go, wow, I think it's time, you know? So the hardest part was I had to go to my mom and dad and tell them I want to search. And of course, they were never comfortable with it. They didn't want me to do it.
Mm-hmm.
First thing that came out of my mom's mouth was, "What's wrong? What did we do?"
Mm-hmm.
Like I was trying to replace them. And that was the hardest part. And
They
then
took it personal.
they took it personal.
Yeah.
And I always thought about, well, why did it take me telling them that I'm going to go search for my mom to actually say, "I love you. I love you, Jim." It's the only time I ever heard her say that to me.
You think she said that because she felt she was going to lose you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it did. So, of course, my mom gave me all the paperwork that she had. I got paperwork right there and sitting next to me. It's my paperwork from the health welfare department. Tells you your height, weight, and issues. And it's funny because on that paperwork it says that my name was Freddie. So someone in the health department named me Freddie back in 1962.
Wow. Okay.
That's a trip. I always try to figure out who the heck named me Freddie, but I'll never know. I guess I'll never know. But so they gave me the paperwork, all they had. So I started my search. So what I did is I went to the county records in Santa Clara County and I walked up there to the building and asked the receptionist, "Hey, I'm here for get some non-identity information. I'm adopted." And she goes, "Well, you have to sign these papers and you got to do this. And it's going to take at least 6 months to a year and all that stuff." I said, "Oh, she's okay."
Wow.
So I wrote whatever I needed to fill out papers. And so it was weird. About 2 months later, walking to my mailbox and opening up the mailbox, and there was a letter. It said County of Santa Clara. I go, "Oh, shoot, did I get a ticket?" Maybe I forgot to pay a ticket, or did I get a ticket or something? Or it was maybe jury duty or something, right? So opened it up. It was my non-identity information. So what it says is, well, your birth mother was 5 feet. She was 95 pounds. She worked at a doctor's office. She lived with your grandparents. Your birth father and her had just a brief affair. So I'll never know. Is it a brief affair or was it a one night stand? I'll never know. I mean, Tina always used to get mad at me all the time because I always just tell her, "Oh, I'm a bastard." She always says, "Babe, don't say that." Well, if you look up the word,
I feel like all adoptees pretty much are.
Yeah, exactly. You look at the word. That's a definition of it, right?
Yeah.
So after I got that, then it said information on my birth father. So it said he was 5'7", medium build, dark hair, dark eyes, worked till 10th grade, and then quit, and then went to go work full time. So that was him, right? So I got all that, and then after I got all that, I used to drive a concrete ready-mix truck for 30 years. I used to deliver concrete, and so one day at work, after I got this information, this was like maybe about a month later, one of the guys there on the job site, I was delivering concrete to him for 20 years. His name was Carlos. And he asked me, "Hey, Jim, how you doing?" He goes, "Oh, pretty good." We've known each other for 20 years, so we always just talk about life, right?
Yeah.
So he goes, "What you been up to?" He goes, "Well, I'm looking for my biological family." He goes, "What?" And he goes, "Joe's not your real dad?" They say, "Your real dad?"
Yeah.
It goes, "Well, I was adopted and I'm trying to find my birth family." So what information do you got? So I gave him the information of my birth mother. And he looked at me and goes, "Wow, that's strange, Jim." He goes, "Why?" He goes, "It sounds like Marie." He goes, "Marie who?" "A girl that I used to date in the early 60s. He goes, "What year were you born, Jim?" He goes, 1962. He looked at me and goes, "Wow." He goes, "Everything you just mentioned was Marie." And it was a brief affair, but I knew that she had gotten pregnant and she gave up a baby. I looked at him and goes, "Wow." And then in my mind, I'm thinking, Okay, wow. Carlos is 5'7", uh, medium built, dark skin, dark eyes, all that. He didn't know that I had that on my bio father. He didn't know I had that information.
Oh.
So of course, back then there was no cell phones, right? So I ran to a phone booth. If you guys know what a phone booth is, so I ran to a phone booth and called Tina. I go, "Hey, babe, give me the information of my bio father." She says, "Okay." Well, she gave me the information of him quitting high school in 10th grade to go to work full time.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back to the job site, and Carl says, "Hey, I thought you were empty." He goes, "Oh, I am. I have to ask you a question." He goes, "Yeah, what's up?" He goes, "Did you go to high school?" He goes, "Well, yeah, I went to high school." "Oh, okay. You graduated?" He goes, "No." He goes, "So what happened?" He goes, "Well, I quit in 10th grade, and I went to go work full time because he's been in construction all his life, pouring concrete." I go, "Whoa." And I told him that's exactly what the piece of paper said. So he looked at me. He goes, "Jim, I think you're my son." I go, "Wow, I think I met my father."
Wow.
So after that happened, probably about a week later, a coworker used to drive a mixer with me. He goes, "Hey Jim, I heard this story about you and Carlos." He goes, "Yeah, how'd you know?" He goes, "Dude," I goes, "I've been living with his daughter for 5 years, which would be your sister." I
Oh my
goes,
God.
"Whoa." He goes, "She wants to meet you." Okay, all right. So I was living in another town, about an hour from where I live now, and they were having like a fair. It's called May Day. It's a big old week long fair,
Mm-hmm.
and I invited her to come stay with us. Her and her son came to stay with us for the weekend. Got to know her a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Carlos started talking a little bit more, but I never told my mom and dad that I had found anybody
Okay.
because they weren't comfortable with it. And I'll give you some story of what happened there.
Yeah.
But so after all that happened, me and Carlos says, "Let's go do a blood test to make sure." Right. So we went and did the blood test again. He picked me up. We went and did the blood test. And
Oh my
7 weeks later, it came back negative. He wasn't my father.
God. Oh,
Yeah. He
that was a
wasn't.
plot twist.
Yeah. That's probably one of the worst days of my life. And because I remember going to work the next day when I found out, and my buddy that I used to commute with says, "You were like a zombie. Like you weren't even there, Jim." And I don't even remember the day, nothing, because I had to call him to tell him that we're not father and son. And he broke down too.
Oh.
And I held it together because, finally I thought I found somebody. And he always patted me on the back, always hugged me on the job site, and I go, wow, finally found some. Uh, it brings back a lot of memories, a lot of memories. But so after that happened, Tina says, "Don't give up, don't give up." So about 6 months passed, and one day she was outside talking to our neighbor across the street, and I don't know how they got into the subject about adoption. And she says, "Hey Tina, Dominic is adopted." "He is." "Well, Jim's adopted too." He goes, "Well, did Dominic ever find his parents?" He goes, "Yeah, he did." "Well, I think they were both deceased though." So he goes, "Tell Jim to go talk to Dominic." So okay, so I went across the street and told my story to Dominic, and until he was my neighbor, but I consider him my brother because he helped me big time. Even though we haven't seen each other in about 10, 12 years, but still he has something in my heart because of him helping me. So I joined this group in Santa Clara County. It's called Adoptees Identity.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to this meeting uh, on a Sunday, and the meeting lasted maybe an hour, hour and a half. So I took all my paperwork that I had, and there was a gentleman that was running the meeting. His name was Neil Kiley. I always remember him. He's probably passed away by now because he was real old back then.
Mm-hmm.
And so he goes, "Okay, Jim, here's your paper. Tell me a little bit about yourself." So I told him. He goes, "All right, well, we were living about an hour and a half away from where the meeting was." He goes, "Okay, well, by the time you get home tonight and all that, I'll have some names for you." I go, "What?"
Wow.
Let me have my names. And I just, okay, whatever, And shoot, I think he called me that night or the next night. He goes, hey, Jim, I got three names for you. I goes, what? Got three names for you. I got a name in LA. I think one was in Long Beach and one is in San Jose. San Jose is where I worked at. And it was like an hour away from where I used to live. Now I'm 20 minutes away from San Jose.
Mm-hmm.
But so he had the and three names and their addresses. So he goes, now you know what you're supposed to do. We'll keep on searching, make sure what's going to happen. If that's we'll track him down and see who's who, right?
Mm-hmm.
So of course I had the three names in my pocket, and I was delivering concrete right to a job site, but I was already empty. So one of the names, the address was on White Road in San Jose, and I was going down the road. I go, hey, I got one of the addresses. It's White Road. So I looked at it and go, shoot, there's the house right there. I go, man, I shouldn't do this, but I did it anyway. So I pulled over and I go and knock on the door. And I go, what can I say? Okay, I got it. I got it. So I knocked at the door and a gentleman opened up the door and I looked at him and go, dang, this guy looks like me. And so I asked him, hey, did you order any concrete? I goes, I'm kind of lost. He goes, no, we didn't order no concrete. Okay, well, I guess I'll keep on looking. I got in my truck. I took off, right?
Very smooth.
Yeah. So probably about a week later, I was at my cousin's Marcos's house in Gilroy, where I live now, and I got a call from Neil Kiley, and he calls me. He goes, "Hey Jim, I got your mother's name." He goes, "You do?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, well, "Which one is it?" He goes, "It's the one in San Jose that lives on White Road." Yeah. I go, "No way." He goes, "Yeah, I have her number too." She has two kids, and no, two kids, and and a younger brother. See, she had two kids already when she gave me up for adoption.
Oh, okay.
She had my brother Bobby and my sister Wanda. And they're older than me, but she had two kids already when she gave me up. So that's another issue that I went through all my life. Why did you keep them
Keep
but
them, yeah.
got rid of me? So it's kind of like, how much more do you have to feel kicked in the curb when you have two kids already, but she got rid of you?
Right.
So I had to deal with that too.
That's a terrible feeling.
Yeah, tell me about it. I lived with it all my life. I mean, I still have. I mean, it's a healing process, right? The reunion's been 20 years now, but I'm still, up and down
Jim,
with
I
my
always say
feelings.
once we hit our healing journey, we're in it forever.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
lifelong process.
And I thought I would, be, but no, it never. It's always going to be there. So I called her that night, and I go. She answered the phone, and I go. I asked for my brother Bobby. And she goes, no, Bobby's not here. I goes, how about Paul? And she goes, no. I go, who's this? I goes, this is Jim Serrano. And then she goes, she kind of was really quiet on the phone. I don't really know Jim Serrano because I know she knew all of her son's friends' names because they were all in wrestlers and they all hung out together, right?
Right.
So I just told her, I goes, well, does January 22nd, 1962 mean anything to you? And it was just dead silence over the phone. And then she goes, um, who is this? I goes, well, who do you think it is? I'm not trying to disrupt your life. Does that mean anything to you? And she goes, well, yes, but I think she remembered saying, why are you doing this? And I was all, I'm not going to disrupt your life. I just want to know some medical issues and stuff like that. And she goes, can I call you tomorrow? I go, sure. So I remember I got off the phone with her and I couldn't even drive home. My in-laws had to pick me up to drive me home because I was just like a wreck.
Of
So,
course you would be.
so I got home that night. Me and Tina were in bed talking, about it and all that. And she calls on the phone to my house, and of course, no cell phones, so she calls on my house, and she goes, "My kids have doctor appointments tomorrow. You want to meet me at the doctor appointments at Valley Medical in San Jose?" Go, well, okay, I guess I'll meet you there. Yeah. So I think their appointments were in the morning at 10 o'clock, whatever it was. So I parked there, and I seen some little lady with a bunch of little kids, and see me in the parking lot. And she hugged me and cried in my arms, saying she was sorry. Me, I didn't have no emotions. I I still had a lot of anger. I didn't have no emotions. I just whatever. I just like a stranger. This is a stranger to me. I have a stranger hugging me in my arms, telling me she's sorry. And so I went to the kids' doctor appointments and all that, and she had to tell me. She goes, "Jim, I got to go home and tell your siblings that you exist," because she kept me a secret for 38 years. She never told her husband that she's married to now that I existed. So she said, I know she said, "Well, I'm going to go home. God gave me a second chance. So I'm going to go home and tell my husband that who you are, and hopefully he doesn't throw me out of my house." Because, this, like I said, this was her third marriage. Yeah, third marriage. And let me see. I'm thinking, is it third marriage? No, second marriage. Because with me, it wasn't a marriage.
Right.
So she went home, told her husband, and her husband been very nice to me since I met him. And one thing he said to her is, "Why would I blame Jim? It's not his fault what happened to him." So they welcomed me. I went to the house. I met my siblings, except my sister Wanda, because she was living in Montana. So I seen all the little kids, right? And so then that night I was on the way home, and then I called her that night. I never asked her. I don't know why I never asked her. Who are all those little kids? And then she tells me, goes, "Well, Jim, those are my foster kids." I goes, "What?"
Oh, wow.
Yeah, her and her husband just retired from being foster parents like a couple years ago. They did it for like 25 years. But see, people never knew her secret, why she did it. She did it to pay God back by giving me up. And she was getting awards and all that. And like I said, her and her husband were foster parents. But she was a very angry person all her life too. And she says that once I came into her life and found her, that a lot of her cousins said she changed from an angry person to a more of a happy person. Not as angry,
Right. I know.
because I found her. And like I always say, it goes, if I didn't go searching, she would have went to her grave with a secret, and no one knew I existed. So after all that happened, um, um, she had a party. Then I asked her, who's my father? Is Carlos Bryan my father? I thought maybe the blood test was wrong. She goes, "No, that's not your father." He goes, "Your father is Raw Coca." He goes, "Oh, okay. Well, where can I get a hold of him?" He goes, "I don't know. I haven't seen him since that time with me and him." And so she goes, "But I know where your uncle's furniture store is. It's downtown San Jose, where I worked at, right?" So here's his ad. Here's the store. Go ask for Hank. He goes, "Okay." And then you ask him that you want to get a hold of Raw Coca, which would be my father. So walked in the store. There's a job site right across the street. I got empty and walked in there. He goes, "Hey," the gentleman looked at me and goes, "Hey, can I help you?" Because he guess he thought I was going to buy some furniture. And I told him, "Well, I'm here. Is Hank Coca here?" He goes, "No, that's my father, but I'm Hank Coca Jr." And goes, "Okay, well, I'm looking for a Raw Coca." And he looks at me and he goes, "Who are you?" And he goes, "Well, I'm just going to go out and say it." And he goes, "I'm his son." He goes, "What?" Because he doesn't have no sons. He goes, "Well, here's my number. I'm not going to go through the whole story. Here's my number, my name. Tell him Norberta." That's my biological mother's name, Norberta.
Mm-hmm.
Tell him Norberta, 1962. So he says, okay. So this is maybe a month later. My biological mother, Norberta, was threw a party for me at her house. They introduced me to some of the family members. So on the way home, on our car ride, I said, I guess my birth father doesn't really want to know who I am, you know. And of course, all this time, then I finally had to think about. Don't worry about that, Jim. Just get that out of your mind now, right? Even though you were looking for a father that would put you on the pedestal and good job, Jim, and I love you, Jim, and you did a good job, Jim, and all that stuff, you know. There's one thing that always gets me, but it's me though, because people always say, well, times were different back then. People didn't know how to show love. And I said, that's a cop out. Man, love is love, man.
Exactly. It's just an excuse.
It's just an excuse. And me, I've changed I'm completely opposite of my dad and how I was raised with my daughter. I kiss her goodnight every night still. And I tell her I love her because
That's sweet.
I have to, because I didn't get that. They always say, be the person that you wanted all your life. Be that person. So I've changed that. But after she told me, and I got a call from him. Well, I didn't get a call. We got home that night, and Tina tells me, you got to listen to the voicemail. You got to listen to the voice. Oh, the answering machine. Voicemail. Answering machine. So I put it up, and it says, hi, this is Raw Coca. I goes, I think you're you're my son. Let's meet at Original Joe's. Original Joe's is a restaurant that's been in downtown San Jose for years.
Mm-hmm.
And so he met me there. I sat there, and I seen him walking towards me. I go, whoa, this guy looks like me. But he's really thin. He's a really thin guy. And he had a twin brother that looks exactly like me. Big shoulders, built like me and everything. But that was his twin. But he looked like me, but he was real thin. So we had dinner, and we talked about the relationship with Norberta. And he said he didn't know about me, even though she says that he did. So, but that's between them, or that's between whatever's going to happen. I don't even want to think about who knew what, who lied,
Right.
So we did a blood test, and it came back positive. Okay, I found my father. So, and then of course, the hardest part is I had to go tell my parents that I found my biological family.
Right.
Well, I didn't really have a relationship with my biological father, but my relationship with my birth mother was growing a little bit as time goes by. So she decided she wanted to throw me a 39th surprise birthday party. So she closed down this restaurant in Gilroy and invited all my friends, but I found out about it about a month before. I don't know. I can't remember. Somebody told me. And then I figured it out. And I asked Tina. I said, yeah, she's throwing you a surprise birthday party. Oh, great. Because I know my mom and dad weren't going to want to show up. They don't want to go. My family didn't want to be there. I know they didn't want to be there. So I was a nervous wreck. And of course, I was still drinking and stuff like that and curing my problems with my alcohol and stuff like that. So the day I walked into the party, opened the door, and there they are. They're sitting on the same table. And I see my mom and dad's faces. They were just like, why are you doing this to me? Oh. I could see the anger in my dad's eyes. I could see the disappointment in my mom's eyes. I go, who in the hell would do something stupid to sit them at the same table? And I'm all thinking, man, my life just sucks, So that night, I just got drunker than drunk. Everybody was buying me shots and all that. I goes, yeah, give me it, just to escape from reality. And but one thing I'll always remember from that party is my dad, when they left, my dad pointing at me, he says, we're going to talk about this tomorrow. He was angry. And I always remember that. Damn, man, I can never please anybody. I can never please anybody. He goes, It's a shitty thing to remember.
It
That,
really is. It's supposed to be a
and
celebration for you. And
yeah, so the next day, I was in my house and felt like my heart was pounding so hard that it was going to come out of my chest. And I called Tina and I laid down on the floor. I said, call an ambulance. There's something wrong with me. I don't know what's going on. So the ambulance came and got me and threw me in ICU. I was in there for like 2 days. They thought I had a heart attack. And then the worst thing that out of all the bad things could happen was here comes my birth mother on the second day. She knew I was in the ICU. She comes in, and here comes my parents in the same room visiting me. And they don't even say anything to each other. They just looked at each other and looked away. I always remember that. Damn, people, don't you guys get it? I'm in here because of my situation. And you guys are in the room at the same time. He goes, I'm trying to get out of here. And it's like, geez, I could die. Just let me die now. I can't deal with this shit no more. And so all that after that happened, third day they said, okay, we're going to release you. He goes, we don't know what happened because maybe you're just having an anxiety attack or whatever, but we're going to need you to go see a psychiatrist. Oh, great. Now I'm going crazy, so I go see a psychiatrist, a therapist, and tell him my problems. And of course, first thing he wants to do is prescribe me Paxil, antidepressants. So I was home for a couple months because I couldn't deal with life. I was in my bed like a damn baby curled up. It still gets me pissed off. So then I get to work 2 months later. A gentleman tells me, hey, Jim, what's going on? And he goes, I just took some time off because I was dealing with some issues in my life and stuff. And he goes, so I told him a little bit about it. He goes, hey, Jim. He goes, I don't know if you're into church or anything, but why don't you come to church with me? And he goes, I'm not into that stuff. I'll deal with it myself. So it was on a Friday night, and I got off work on a Friday night, and the service was like at 7 at night, and it was like 7:30 already, and I'm not gonna go. And something told me, go, Jim, just go. So I go, and he's still waiting for me at the steps, even though it was already a half hour late. So I went, and I walked in and seen all these people, with their hands up like that. I was like, oh, look at all these crazy people, in my mind, because I'm not, I was born, I was raised Catholic and all that, did the old traditional mama's religion, grandma's religion, did the old, married in the Catholic Church and all that stuff. So I went, but I was still in Paxil and stuff like that, dealing with my issues. And I just remember one day that coming out of there, and I was feeling anxiety again. So Tina tells me, well, take your pills. So I'll go and take one, and it usually kicks in like an hour. But I felt different right when I took it. By the time I sat down in my chair, I just felt different. I felt different. I don't know why. I felt different. And
different in a good way?
In a good way. Yeah, in a good way. And so that was my 39th, my 39th birthday. So, and that's the last time I had a drink. I just celebrated 20 years of sobriety on my 59th birthday.
Good for you.
So I haven't had a drink in 20 years. And before,
I'm so
Jim
proud
used to,
of you.
I mean, how do you stop overnight?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody says, oh, well, how do you stop overnight? Well, everybody has their own opinion on Christianity and stuff, but my opinion is he took it away from me, because how do I, from a guy with all those problems, just all of a sudden just stop? So, and I'll never go back. People always tell me, he goes, well, why can't you have one beer, Jim? I goes, I'm not saying I can't have one beer.
You just
but
don't want to.
I just don't want to. It's like opening up a bag of chips. Are you going to have just one chip? No.
Nope.
Or a bag
You're
of corn nuts.
You're
You
gonna
can have
eat that whole damn bag.
exactly. So, so that's kind of like my adoption journey. My mom passed away in 2003.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Jim.
So it's coming up on 17 years. My father passed away about 8 years ago, and my dad had dementia for 10 years, And my sisters and all that were uh, live far away from where my dad was in Gilroy. So me and my Tina took care of him for like 5 years of the 10 years,
Mhm.
and that was a struggle too. Because how's that doesn't make no sense. How's a guy that never complimented me or never said anything good to me all my life, and I'm taking care of him? See how weird things work out. And it's
Yeah.
just, and I thought, wow, I guess because it says you honor your mother and father no matter what, even though you wasn't the ideal parents, right?
Exactly.
So, and then my biological father, he passed away about, geez, 8 years ago too. But we didn't
Oh,
really grow into a relationship because, oh, I forgot to tell you, he was never married and never
okay.
had any kids till I came into the picture. He never knew I existed. See, even though my birth mother says that he did know, but
Hmm.
who knows? I'm not really going to get into that.
Right.
That's
Right.
past history. But that's kind of like my story, and I'm here now. The only one that's left now is my biological mother, and she's going to be 84. Um, my brother Bobby, he passed away about 2 years ago from diabetes. I have my sister Wanda still living, and me and my sister Wanda are pretty close. I don't know. It always
Cool.
seemed, and my sister Barbara that was adopted with me, we're pretty close because I guess maybe the adoption part,
You share
adoptee,
that bond.
yeah, we share that bond. This
Yeah.
we're really close. She has, I don't think she's searched because she's kind of scared. It's probably because hearing my story too and the stuff I went through,
Yeah.
so she kind of scared on that. Um, but I just been living life since, and like I said, just um, I try to be honest with my story. I try to be
And
transparent.
you are. You got so raw and honest tonight.
I
And
have to. I have to because
Jim, you are like you are really an inspiration, and you are
uh,
just such a light. And I want to, we only have a few minutes left, so I want to read
mhm,
the comments to
sure.
you. Um, I mean, everyone gave you so much love, and I didn't want to interrupt you.
Mhm.
But I'm just going to read some to you so you can see how much people support you and love you. Um, just going. Raya Fitlady.mom said, "Congratulations, what an inspiration." Megan said, "Thank you for sharing." Zeke is a dear friend of mine as well. "Thank you for sharing your honesty and courage." Um, Bethany over at Journey of My Trey Soul, "You're so brave to tell your story. Thank you." Keith, "Keep on speaking your truth." Zeke wants to send you big hugs. "We love you. You're strong." Bethany said, "It's not a disease, it's a trauma response. I know from very personal experience, not me, but someone very close in my life. I understand now, and that person is also in recovery." Um, just people how amazing your story is. They said they're all here for you.
And
Keep sharing is helping
the
others.
best thing about being adopted is I only met other adoptees 2 years ago. I didn't have
Yeah,
any conversations with other adoptees for 56, 57 years. And I see you younger people have all these groups. I'm so happy for you guys because you guys
now
get able
you
to,
do. Now we
yeah, now
do.
you do, yeah,
Yeah,
because of
I didn't
you,
know the
yeah.
adoptee community existed until
Hmm.
this past or last year. So,
Exactly,
I mean, it's amazing. It's incredible how we just found each other and we became a family and
exactly.
we support each other, and it's amazing.
And we got that bond, huh? We got that
Yes, we
bond.
do.
Yeah.
Katya said she was kept a secret too. Anastasia said, "Wow, that's so sad. She never told about you, your birth mother." She means. Chris said, "Yep, love is love." Jesse, "Love your story, Jim, and also one of my favorite people on this earth. I couldn't agree more." They're just saying you're a champion. They're congratulating you for your 20 years of sobriety. I
Thank you.
think that's incredible. Um, so proud of you, and God is good for He made you strong to be able to tell your story. Um, Thank you for sharing. It's great hearing your story. You're an inspiration. Yeah, I mean, they're just sending you so much love, and you know, we're gonna wrap up now. We have about a couple minutes left.
Sure.
Is there anything you want to, any, any piece of advice you want to give adoptees and adoptive parents? Unfortunately, I don't want it to cut you off, so we have 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Adoptive parents, speak the truth. Get to know other adoptees before you want to go adopt, and never hold the truth from anybody. Adoptees, hold on to your hope. Just hold on to your hope, even though sometimes it feels like shit. But hold on to your hope. You can do it. You'll get there, but you just can't stop. Don't quit. Never quit.
right.
So that's the two things I want to leave.
That is amazing advice for
Mm-hmm.
both
Mm-hmm.
adoptees and adoptive parents. And
Mm-hmm.
Jim, I could literally have you on forever, but Instagram won't let me.
Yeah.
But I would love to do a part 2 sometime with you because I
Sure.
want to talk more, because I feel like there's so much more that you want to share. And
Oh.
I know Instagram's not going to allow us to with
Sure.
that right now, but
Yeah.
I want to definitely have you back on soon to share more of like growing up with your siblings and
Oh yeah.
everything like that.
There's a
So
big
yeah,
there's a lot of other stories from the last 20
yes, and
years.
I want everyone to hear them, and
Sure.
including me. So
Okay.
you are incredible. You really are so amazing, and you are such a like a great support for us. You're always there. You're always on my lives. You're always commenting, always supporting, and it's just I know I'm sure everyone's including this, but for me, I'm very lucky to have you in my life and to have you as a friend. So
Well, I love
thank you.
everybody out there, and I love you, Michelle.
I love you too, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in tonight. You for showing Jim so much love that he deserves. And Jim, we will schedule a part 2.
Okay.
Have a wonderful night. Tell
You
your
too.
wife I said hi, and keep
Okay, I
up the
will.
good work with your sobriety. You are
Okay. Yeah. I got
awesome.
to. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Bye, Jim.
Bye.
Bye.